best American states for immigrants. Concerns for non-natives living in the United States range from safety to maintaining residency. Different regions of the nation offer various chances for employment, education, and house ownership. Some also have sizable immigrant populations whose assistance and support can facilitate the assimilation process for new Americans. The percentage of non-native residents is one element that determines whether a state is welcoming to immigration. This varies from a share of 27% in California to just 1.5% in West Virginia. Even if there aren't many immigrants, the state may not always be unwelcoming. Here are the top 10 best American states for immigrants. Number 10. Maryland. No matter where they were born, inhabitants of Maryland, one of the richer states in the Union, have better socioeconomic conditions than the atypical American, only 1 percentage point more than the state's 9.8% poverty rate for people born in the United States. 10.8% of residents who are foreign-born live in poverty. This is significantly lower than the 18.6% poverty rate for immigrants nationwide. Immigrants have a poverty rate that is 3.6 percentage points higher than that of native-born people nationwide. Number 9. Hawaii. Hawaii is one of the greatest states for immigrants and a favorite destination for both domestic and foreign migrants. Since 1900, the federal government has regarded anybody born in Hawaii as a citizen of the United States, and when Hawaii became a state in 1959, around 30% of its citizens were foreign-born. Presently, 18% of islanders are foreign-born, which ranks as the 6th highest percentage nationwide. In comparison to the majority of the nation, Hawaii has a higher percentage of residents who are born abroad and have become naturalized citizens. It is simpler for immigrants to move and assimilate into the state of Hawaii because a variety of nationalities, including Japanese, Chinese, Filipinos, and Koreans, have created rich cultural heritages there. Hawaii has the highest percentage of citizenship-holding immigrants outside of Vermont at about 57%. Number 8. Florida. More immigrants have recently resided in Florida than almost any other state. More than any other state and approximately double the national growth rate attributable to immigration, the population of the state increased by 3.7% between 2010 and 2016 as a result of international migration. More than 40% of all foreign-born Floridians are from the Caribbean, and more than 25% are from South and Central America, both significant percentages when compared to the rest of the country. In the 2015 fiscal year, 605 green cards were given for every 100,000 citizens of the state, the highest rate outside of New York. Florida has one of the largest wealth gaps between native-born inhabitants and non-native citizens, even though more foreign-born Floridians have received permanent resident status in recent years than residents of most other states combined. More than the $5,000 national average, the typical immigrant household in Florida makes around $8,000 less per year than the usual native-born home. Number 7. Nevada. Approximately 19% of people in Nevada are foreign-born, compared to 13% of people nationwide. Of this group, just over 40% were born in Mexico. Immigrants in the United States are less likely to be unemployed than native-born Americans, probably in part because staying in the country without employment can result in deportation. In Nevada, foreign-born residents had a 5.9% unemployment rate compared to native-born inhabitants, 7.0%. In Nevada, as it is across the nation, a naturalized immigrant's life typically equates to one that is far better than that of a non-citizen. For instance, 23% of state's residents who are not citizens and 10% of native-born Nevadans live in poverty. Number 6. New Jersey. It may be a sign of increased tolerance for other cultures when a state has a high proportion of residents who are born elsewhere. Many of these states have sizable immigrant groups that can assist others in assimilating into American culture. More than 1 in 5 residents of New Jersey, more than in all but 2 other states, are foreign-born. Foreign-born residents of New Jersey, both naturalized and unnaturalized, have one of the lowest rates of poverty in any state. The Garden State's immigrant population has a comparatively high rate of educational attainment, which is typically correlated with increased earning potential. A bachelor's degree is held by about 37% of Jersey's foreign-born citizens, which is about 8% more than the National Immigrant College achievement rate. Number 5. New York. Only California has a higher percentage of foreign-born citizens, 22.5%, than New York. New York grants more green cards each year than any other state, largely due to the state's high immigrant population. In the government's 2015 fiscal year, 661 green cards were issued per 100,000 state residents, which is about twice as much as the national average. The state has a larger than average wage disparity between native-born residents and immigrants. In comparison to households with foreign-born residents, native-born households have a median income that is roughly $10,000 higher. The average household income for immigrants in New York State is still somewhat greater than the national median for immigrants due to the state's usually higher income levels. Number 4. Virginia. Only 4 states, including Virginia, allow foreign-born residents to fairly expect to not only have a respectable salary but also to earn more than Americans. Virginia households with non-U.S. citizens typically make close to $71,000 annually, which is higher than the $64,000 median for households with Americans as members. The median income for immigrants in this state is the second highest of any state, and the positive income gap is the second largest. However, those foreign-born Virginians who have not been awarded citizenship are in a quite distinct class of success, as is the case statewide. This group's median yearly household income is roughly $57,000. Number 3. West Virginia. This list states include many with sizable immigrant populations. West Virginia is unquestionably not one of these, with only 1.5% of its people having been born abroad. In fiscal 2015, only 43 green cards were granted for every 100,000 West Virginians, or less than 1/7 of the U.S. average. The few West Virginians who are not born here, meanwhile, are a reflectively affluent bunch. Similar to only 3 other states, the median income of immigrant households in the state is higher than that of native-born households. Additionally, foreign-born West Virginians are far more likely to hold a college degree and less likely to be unemployed than native-born individuals. Number 2. Alaska. Compared to native-born Americans who have a poverty rate of 15%, immigrants in the U.S. have a rate of 18.6%. In every state, immigrants have a higher rate of poverty than native-born citizens, yet Alaska has a relatively minor difference. 10.3% of all immigrant state residents live in poverty, which is almost the same as the 10.2% of state citizens who are born in the country. Socioeconomic outcomes differ greatly by citizenship, as is the case countrywide. Compared to 14.7% of non-citizen immigrants, just 6.6% of naturalized foreign-born Alaskans live in poverty. In general, immigrants experience lower unemployment than Americans do, and Alaska is one of the states where this is particularly true. Compared to Alaska's native-born Americans who have an unemployment rate of 5.8%, only 3.2% of non-native workers in the state are unemployed. Number 1. California. California decided to become the first sanctuary state in April in response to the recent crackdown on illegal immigrants by Immigration and Customs Enforcement Police. Greater legal safeguards for immigrants are offered by a bill approved by the California State Senate, which places restrictions on interactions between ICE and local law enforcement. State residents who are not American citizens made up a nation-high 27% of the population. Californians make up about 1 in 5 people who receive green cards annually. Compared to many other states on this list, California has a significantly wider income disparity between native-born Americans and those who are born abroad. But, as is true nationwide, incomes vary by region of origin and citizenship status. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed the content, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any travel content in the future. We'll see you in the next video.